Hello, welcome to the second page of our assignment. Now, here we're continuing with what we were doing previously. If this is a 45, 45, 90 right triangle, if this side is 8, I divide by the square root of 2 to get this side, so that's 8 divided by the square root of 2. And if we rationalize 8 over the square root of 2, that would be 8 root 2 over 2, which is 4 root 2. So that's 4 root 2, this is 4 root 2. And in a 30, 60, 90, I multiply this side times the square root of 3 to get x. So root 2 times root 3 is going to be root 6. So this says a and b, but really we should just write x. Now in this one, we want to find g and h over here. If this is 12, this is 5. Now we don't know what these angles are, so we can't assume that this is 30, 60, 90 or anything, so we can just use Pythagorean Theorem. 5 squared plus 12 squared is equal to c squared. Or we can use our knowledge of Pythagorean triples, 5, 12, this has to be 13. Or we can do it this, say 5 squared is 25. So I can say this is 25 plus 144 is equal to c squared, or 169 is equal to c squared, so the square root of 169 is equal to 13. So if this side's 13, this side has to be 13. So this is a 45, 45, 90 since these two are the same. So this side is just going to be 13 times the square root of 2. So g is 13 root 2 and h is 13. Now in this equilateral triangle, we want to find the perimeter. We know the height is 6. So to get this short side, I have to divide by the square root of 3. 6 over root 3 can rationalize to 6 root 3 over 3, which would break down to 6 over 3 is 2. So that's 2 root 3 over here. If that's 2 root 3, this side is 2 root 3. So the whole side is 4 root 3. So that's 4 root 3 and 4 root 3. So if I add these all together, I should get 12 times the square root of 3. Now to find these two problems, this is Pythagorean Theorem. You have x squared plus 20 squared is equal to x plus 4 squared, or x squared plus 400 is equal to x squared plus 8x plus 16. Now we can subtract x squared on both sides, leaving 400 is equal to 8x plus 16. Now I subtract 16 from both sides, and I'll get 384 is equal to 8x. I divide by 8, and 384 divided by 8 is 48. So that is our value for x. Now to find our x over here, we do the same process. X minus 2 squared plus 15 squared is equal to x squared. X minus 2 squared is going to be x squared minus 4x plus 4. 15 squared is going to be 225. Now I subtract x squared on both sides, leaving negative 4x plus 229 is equal to 0. Now I'll add 4x to both sides. So 229 is equal to 4x. So now I just divide both sides by 4. And 229 divided by 4 will equal 57.25. So my value for x is 57.25. All right, now we move on to some word problems. I am bright gets into her car and travels 65 miles per hour east for 1 hour. So we're going this way. East is to the right. So if you go 65 miles per hour for 1 hour, that means you go 65 miles. She then turns north and travels 50 miles per hour for 2 hours. So if she goes 1 hour, that's 50 miles. then another hour, that's 100 miles. How far is she from where her starting point is? That's going to be this distance. So this is your basic Pythagorean theorem problem. Not to demean a basic problem, but it's pretty, using just normal numbers, 65 squared plus 100 squared, and that equals 14,225. So now we just square root that answer, and 119.27-ish. It says to the nearest mile, so 119 miles is good enough. Now for our next problem, it says a square has a perimeter of 24. Let's find its diagonal. Well, if its perimeter is 24, if we divide that by the four sides, each side is going to be 6. Now the diagonal cuts through like this. So if I have 6 and 6, my hypotenuse has to be 6 times the square root of 2. Now if we go in the opposite direction, if I know the diagonal is 24, if this is 24, I divide by the square root of 2 to get this side. So 24 divided by the square root of 2 is going to be 24 root 2 over 2, which would be 12 times the square root of 2. So that's going to be one side. And if each side is 12 times the square root of 2, I just have to multiply that by 4. So 48 root 2 is my answer. And that's the end of page 2.